Hello, my name is Liam Turley, and I'll be talking about the concept of high quality literature and introducing my chosen book, Cub and Brown by Edwina Wyatt. A beautiful and heartwarming tale of a friendship and adventure. Cub loves exploring the great outdoors. He's prepared for everything. Well, at least he tries to be. There are plenty of things to learn and tips to follow. However, Cub isn't quite sure what he would do if ever met a bear in the woods. So when Cub meets Brown, he finds the outdoors and the indoors are full of surprises. According to MacDonald and Nicara, high-quality literature refers to texts that offer rich language, depth of meaning, and opportunities for emotional engagement, critical thinking, and discussion. These texts are characterized by well-developed characters, thoughtful themes, and the use of literary devices such as imagery, symbolism, and figurative language. High-quality literature often reflects authentic human experiences, allowing readers, especially young ones, to explore complex ideas, diverse perspectives, and moral questions in an age-appropriate way. In the image, Barrow depicts Brown, the bear, as a prime example of how quality children's literature employs imagery and symbolism to create a well-developed character that invites emotional engagement and critical thinking. In the image, Brown's relaxed posture and the upward gaze toward the birds suggests curiosity and wonder, symbolic of a character open to the new experiences and learning. The presence of the tree and the spiderweb add depth, symbolizing growth, protection, and the interconnectedness within the natural world. These layers of imagery and symbolism enrich the text's meaning, making Brown more than just an animal. He becomes a relatable figure whose story encourages reflections on themes such as discovery and the delicate balance of life. This portrayal aligns perfectly with the definition of high-quality literature, which values thoughtful characters, meaningful themes, and the use of literary devices to deepen understanding and engage readers in discussion. Through Brown's depiction, readers experience a narrative that combines rich language and symbolic depth, fostering both emotional connectedness and thoughtful analysis. Therefore, the book is a strong example of high-quality literature. It offers rich content, including mindfulness and the importance of emotional understanding. Wyatt's poetic and gentle prose enhances the story's tones, and also the illustrations by Barrow further deepen the narrative with soft textures and expressive body language that convey warmth, trust, and companionship without relying on dialogue. Cub and Brown is an excellent mentor text for young children because it models themes of friendship, resilience, and discovery in a way that is both accessible and engaging. The story uses simple yet engaging language, making it easy for children to follow while also exposing them to rich language. According to MacDonald, rich language and the rereading of a text can get students to bring an author's words to life. Students can enjoy a text even beyond their current reading level. They learn how connections between rich language and meaning are built, deepening their understanding of stories and how language works. The book can also help students as it will build on narrative structure, introducing a problem, build curiosity, and resolving with a heartwarming connection. This also helps children understand how stories are crafted. The illustrations by Edwina Wyatt also further support comprehension, encouraging visual literacy and deeper engagement within the text. As a mental text, it can also help students to write about their own friendships, adventures, and moments of learning, showing them how to blend imagination with real life. In the images shown, being around a table sharing a meal is something that really resonates as most children often have their dinner with their loved ones and friends around the table. The other image also depicts resilience, as no matter the failure you are, the people who you hold a close relationship with will always be there to pick you back up, which the author portrays really well. For students, this helps connect to the story and see themselves as storytellers, and for teachers, this makes it a valuable classroom resource as it models narrative writing and comprehension strategies. Cub and Brown is a form of fantasy. According to MacDonald, fantasy explores the possibilities of the human imagination outside the boundaries of the real world. It usually advocates the need for the perseverance in the face of adversity. While the fantasy landscape is a primary world, characters in the social life will draw on everyday aspects of our daily life and relationships. While the setting is grounded in nature, the friendship between a human boy and the bear brings a magical realism to the narrative. As stated by Johnson and MacDonald, magic realism is the insertion of something being described as real and based on what appears as clearly unreal, and the merging of the fantastical in the real and what is usually conventionally accepted as real is juxtaposed with what appears as unreal. The fantasy happens mostly in the interactions and the relationships that transcend normal expectations, such as Brown's human-like personality, him living in the cabins in the woods, and his ability to communicate and bond with Cub, a real-life boy. The blending of real and fantastical elements creates a gentle world where imagination thrives but is still connected to the natural environment and everyday experiences. The story portrays themes common to fantasy, adventure, learning, and mutual support through the shared experiences of Cub and Brown. The fantasy is not just in the setting, but in how ordinary childhood curiosity and friendships are expanded into magical relationships between boy and bear. The forest and cabin form a landscape where fantasy unfolds against a familiar backdrop, like in the image shown, allowing readers to explore imagination, grounded in reality and real human emotions. Though Cap and Brown is a fantasy story, I believe it is set in a realistic environment that resembles natural forested areas found in regions like Canada or the United States, where brown bears are native. The setting grounds the stories in the real world with familiar outdoor elements such as woods and camping gear, creating a believable backdrop for the friendship and adventures. This realistic setting allows readers to connect to the magical friendship to places they recognise, making the fantasy elements feel more accessible and relatable while still encouraging imagination and wonder. The natural world is depicted as one where such an unlikely friendship might be imagined, blending the boundaries between fantasy and reality. And I wanted to dive little bit more into social context. So, social context refers to the way that our lives and relationships are shaped by history, culture, and the dominant values of society. According to MacDonald, exploring social context in literature means looking closely at how power, respect, and status are distributed among characters, and noticing who is valued or who is silenced. So, in this image with Cub, we can see that these ideas are at work. Cub's interactions and position in the scene reflect broader social dynamics, such as who belongs, who leads, and who is listened to. By reading for social context, we draw attention to the everyday lives of characters like Cub and Brown, and we ask how these experiences are influenced by factors like age, status, or community roles. This approach helps students not to see just the story, but the underlying social structures that shape it, making them more aware of issues like inclusion, power, and fairness. According to MacDonald, literary stories takes a primary social purpose to entertain the readers. They do this through employing certain elements that traditionally have been regarded as the essence of literature. So the setting. The scene takes place in Brown's cozy, rustic cabin, providing a warmth and familiar space that grounds the story's magical friendship in everyday life. And then characterization. Brown appears emotionally exhausted and vulnerable, while Cub shows quiet patience and empathy, highlighting their supportive friendship. The plot in this image, the moment shows an emotional challenge or misunderstanding, adding depth to their growing relationship. This theme, friendship involves empathy, patience, and support through difficult times, showing it's more than just fun. Their style and mood, the soft detailed illustration and simple prose create a mood of quiet reflection and gentle comfort, balancing sadness with warmth. For my visual text, I've chosen to focus on an image of Cub and Brown finishing their walk on the top of the hill and looking at the view on page 137. Brown talks about it as the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, even Brown implying it is better that you are here with me, looking deeper into their friendship and to enjoy every moment that you have with your friends. In my image, I wanted to depict this scene, so I looked at having the two main protagonists, so Cub and Brown, looking at an amazing view that we have at our doorstep as well. Created my image in response to stories of friendship and belonging inspired by the visual meta-language frameworks from McDonald and Callow. My intention was to use the brown teddy and the white teddy as Cup and Brown and use them as symbols of companionship, placed in a nighttime city sense, and to evoke a sense of shared anticipation for the future. Colour was a powerful symbol as well as the teddies themselves. The brown teddy on the left and the white teddy on the right represent distinct personalities or backgrounds, yet their closeness suggests a merging of identities. The city's distance, glowing lights in the background symbolise aspiration and the adventure ahead, much like the two friends dreaming together, much like Cup and Brown. The main participants are the teddies, positioned side by side on the bench with the city dominating the distant skyline. I wanted to use a long shot and a wide shot to frame both the characters and the context of their environment and choose an eye-level angle to place the viewer as an equal, sharing in the moment. Notice the vector. Both toys direct their gaze towards the illuminated cityscape, guiding our eyes and suggesting their shared curiosity. This is an offer. They are not interacting with us directly, but inviting us to view their moment of reflection and connection. Their bodies face away from us, reinforcing this offer and deepening the contemplative mood of the image. Salience is achieved through lighting and the positioning. The bench and the toys are highlighted by nearby lights, drawing immediate attention. The rest of the foreground is darker, emphasizing the toys as the focal point. The bright city acts as a secondary, yet important, zone of salience, suggesting opportunity or hope. Symbolically, the bench represents a place of safety as the city glows as a beacon for dreams, while the pathway is open and also creates a sense of journey between comfort and future prospects. By choosing a wide shot and focusing on vectors, offers, and salience, my image tells a subtle story. Two friends united in wonder, sitting at the cusp of safety and the possibility of looking ahead together. The use of visual meta-language allows us to read not just what is pictured, but as what is felt, anticipation, comfort, and hope for what lies beyond. Brave Brown, big as a boulder, wrapped me warmly as the sun. Friendship's worries, fears grew colder, safe and soft, our hearts as one. We met on winding ways, his smile was gentle and golden fun, like shade on summer's days. He held my hopes when things felt wrong, my courage curious and bright, found kindness rooted deep and strong. Brown's arms, my warmth in the night, a loving bear is where I belong. Today I should have shared you a poem that I created in response to Cub and Brown, using an illustration where Cub and Brown embrace. My aim was to capture the emotional bond between these two characters and explore Cub's feelings towards Brown through the language of poetry. First, I selected the scene because it is rich with emotional content which children can relate to. The image depicts Cub and Brown in a heartful embrace surrounded by nature. And as a text producer, my main goal was to translate the visual warmth and comfort into words. I relied heavily on imagery, a literary device that appealed to our senses. For instance, phrases like "we met on winding ways" and "shade on summer's days" were carefully chosen to reflect the natural setting and warmth found in both the picture and the book. Alliteration was used intentionally, with Brave Brown, big as a boulder, to create rhythm and focus the listener on Brown's comforting strength. This choice of words helps reinforce Brown's role as a protective figure and can make the children think on who their protector is. Next, rhyme creates coherence. Lines such as "wrap me warmly as the sun's," "friendship flooded," "fears grew colder," "safe and soft," "our hearts as one," they use rhyme pairs to make the poem. I also wanted to include metaphors to deepen the emotional reflections. Brown's arms, my harbour in the night, transforms Brown's embrace into a metaphorical safe haven, helping young readers to make sense of complex emotions using concrete objects or experiences, a core strategy for child-centered literature. Similarly is another feature found where I said, "wrapped me warmly in the sun," comparing Brown's hug to sunlight. This clarifies the club's feeling of safety in a way that is accessible, reinforcing comfort and affection. clearly for the listener. Throughout the poem, it uses gentle humour and repetition, such as Cub's expressions of curiosity and courage, which are foregrounded in the original text. The language reflects these with words like safe, soft, and gentle. In summary, as a text producer, I make choices with what would align with the poem closely with the meta language of poetry, blending rhyme, alliteration, metaphor, simile, and imagery. Each element is chosen to echo the emotional heart of Cub's relationship with Brown, drawing evidence from the illustration and text to readers' own personal repertoire. This emotional connection and lived experience by doing so, I aim to create a piece that not only entertains but also deepens the understanding and emotional engagement found in Cub and Brown.